Hello and welcome to the Educat Explains. Imagine a man so powerful that kings feared him, nations united against him, and even 2 centuries after his death, military academies still study his strategies. He rose from a relatively unknown island in the Mediterranean and became the ruler of France, dominating much of Europe before suffering one of history's most dramatic falls. This is the story of Napoleon Bonaparte, military genius, emperor, reformer, and one of the most influential figures in human history. So Napoleon Bonaparte was born on August 15, 1769, on the island of Corsica. At the time, Corsica had only recently become part of France. Coming from a modest noble family, Napoleon was far from the typical future emperor. At just 9 years old, he was sent to military school in mainland France. There, he struggled to fit in. His accent was mocked, his background looked down upon, and many classmates considered him an outsider. Yet those years shaped the young boy who would one day change Europe forever. While others socialized, Napoleon spent countless hours studying mathematics, history, and military campaigns. In 1789, the French Revolution erupted. The old political order collapsed, and suddenly ambitious young officers had opportunities that had never existed before. Napoleon seized them. His breakthrough came during the Siege of Toulon in 1793, where his brilliant use of artillery helped force British troops to withdraw. Almost overnight, he became one of France's rising military stars. Within a few years, he was entrusted with commanding entire armies. In 1796, Napoleon took command of the French army in Italy. His soldiers were poorly supplied and demoralized. Yet through speed, innovation, and bold tactics, he achieved victory after victory against larger enemy forces. Europe was stunned. A young general in his 20s was defeating some of the continent's most powerful armies. Napoleon's legend had begun. Just a quick request, it won't take you a second to hit that subscribe button, but it appreciates us to make more content like this. Let's get back to the topic. By 1799, France was politically unstable. Napoleon returned from Egypt and seized power in a coup. As first consul, he effectively became the ruler of France. Then, in 1804, he took an even bigger step. He crowned himself Emperor of the French. The symbolism was powerful. Rather than allowing the Pope to place the crown on his head, Napoleon crowned himself, demonstrating that his authority came from his own achievements. It was one of the most famous moments in European history. The next decade represented the height of Napoleon's power. Victories at Austerlitz, Jena, and Friedland transformed the political map of Europe. Many historians consider the Battle of Austerlitz in 1805 to be his greatest military masterpiece. At the same time, Napoleon introduced reforms that still influence modern societies today. His Napoleonic Code established principles of legal equality and property rights that spread far beyond France. Napoleon was not only winning wars, he was reshaping governments and institutions. Then came Russia. In 1812, Napoleon launched the largest military invasion Europe had ever seen. More than 600,000 soldiers marched east. The campaign became a disaster. Russian forces retreated while destroying supplies behind them. When Napoleon reached Moscow, much of the city had been abandoned and burned. Then winter arrived. Cold, hunger, disease, and constant attacks devastated the French army. Only a fraction returned. The empire would never fully recover. After a series of defeats, Napoleon was forced to abdicate in 1814 and was exiled to Elba. But he wasn't finished. In 1815, he escaped and returned to France, beginning what became known as the 100 Days. Europe responded immediately. On June 18, 1815, Napoleon faced Allied forces at Waterloo. It was his final battle. Defeated once and for all, he was sent into exile on the remote island of St. Helena in the South Atlantic. He would never return. Napoleon died in 1821.